Good day everyone, and welcome to the channel. It's Londononion here with a Back 4 Blood deck build, and the weapon we'll be building a deck for today is the UMP45. Now, generally I would say there are two, or technically three, aspects of building a weapon/weapon class specific deck. There is the more strength-based build, and the compensatory/balancing build. A third option would naturally be a hybrid, which is probably the most reasonable, but every weapon is different and has its own strengths and areas of need, to varying degrees. Now, with this in mind, on a smaller scale I will categorize potential card selections into 4 designations: related, compensatory, synergistic, and preferential. Although Back 4 Blood already has its own designations for cards, I prefer to use my own. And before we get started, it is important to note that there are 1,000 ways to build a deck. The most I can do is showcase how I prefer to optimize this weapon's performance. So starting off with the related cards. Related cards are the ones that directly impact/buff the attributes or effects of a given weapon/weapon class. The cards in this category are Speed Demon and Mag Carrier. Speed Demon provides a 4% increase in move speed while using an SMG, and increases reload speed by 35%. Mag Carrier increases SMG and pistol ammo capacity by 30% and increases damage output by 10%. Since we are working with an SMG, this is a class of weapons that is easily abused with ammo expenditure. As explained in our weapon review, the UMP's damage rivals that of the assault rifle class, but having a damage buff is always welcome in my book. Additionally, having an increase in reload speed can only bring benefits, especially with time-sensitive cards, and being able to stay fire ready with as little delay as possible. Given that it is an SMG after all, it thrives in close-range combat, and likely cannot afford long lulls in reload speed, so I choose to employ both cards. Now moving on to the compensatory cards. Compensatory cards are meant to counteract the weapon's main weaknesses, or balance out its areas of need. In the UMP's case, looking at its stats alone, all 5 categories are in or above the median of all weapons. Now, this is not to say that there are no compensatory cards to apply, but compensation will look a little different. The only area, in my opinion, that can use some improvement is mag capacity, but as far as deck builds go, this is only augmented through attachments, so RNG is really one's best bet. Now technically, one can use the card Power Reload, but after testing out the card in practical use, the card is only effective when an active reload is commanded. Even the faster firing weapons like the Uzi will not grant a capacity buff with a passive/automatic reload, or when one decides to run out the mag completely. One must perform an active reload within 1 second of reaching low ammo, which is when one's mag count display begins flashing red. But to cut one's magazine short for a consistent boost in mag capacity simply sounds counterproductive toward the ultimate goal of increasing mag capacity. Unless one is a master at seizing fire for an active reload while sitting at 1 round in the chamber, I don't consider this a worthwhile investment, and plus I think it would be rather bothersome to have to constantly look at one's mag count in order to get the boost. But this is not a card critique review. The next closest way of influencing mag capacity is creating a seamless reload process. With only 20 rounds and a decent fire rate, constant reloading will become bothersome in fast-paced circumstances, so the card I employ to address reload speed is Reload Drills, which provides a 20% boost in reload speed. This will also compound with Speed Demon, creating a total boost of 55% in reload speed. Moving on to the Synergistic Cards. These are cards that have impacts to increase areas of strength, or work to optimize the effects of other cards or one's choice of character. Now, the cards I chose were Shredder, Combat Knife, Vanguard, Battle Lust, Hellfire, Cross Trainers, Confident Killer, Face Your Fears, Marked for Death, and Large Caliber Rounds. Marked for Death grants a 10% damage increase for the team to pinged enemies. Confident Killer increases damage dealt by 1% for each mutation eliminated and stacks up to 15%. Shredder increases damage by 1% with each bullet that hits and stacks up to 15%. This must be maintained within 3 seconds, otherwise the damage will reset. Combat Knife turns one's bash into a tack knife, which still counts as a melee weapon and eliminates Ridden with a single use. Vanguard grants 1 temporary health unit for the player and their team. Battle Lust grants 2 health units with a melee kill. Hellfire increases move speed by 45% while firing and 5% while not firing. Cross Trainers increases stamina by 20%, its regeneration by 20%, move speed by 3%, and health by 5 units. Face Your Fears grants 2 temporary health units for every Ridden killed within 2 meters, and Large Caliber Rounds increases damage by 7.5% and increases penetration by 200%. Now, the synergy amongst these cards are overlapped with offensive capability and self-preservation. The offensive capability is compounded with Confident Killer, March for Death, Large Caliber Rounds, and Shredder, which together can theoretically create a 47.5% increase in damage output. Now, a quick note about Shredder. This is a time-sensitive card, and given the reload speed of the UMP, it can only be maintained with the reload buffs discussed earlier. With that being said, Hellfire can also assist with this since it allows one to move even faster while firing. And given that this is a kiting weapon, as discussed in our UMP review, this can only help with maintaining offensive capabilities while moving away from one's enemies. With that being said, Hellfire can also assist with this since it allows one to move even faster while firing, and with a consistent boost in reload speed, greater intervals of fire can take place. As for self-preservation, this is mainly noted with close combat kills, and it all starts with the Combat Knife. It is arguably faster than traditional melee weapons and eliminates Ridden with a single use. When used together with Vanguard, Battle Lust, and Face Your Fears, one will gain 2 units of health and 3 units of temporary health with every melee kill. Cross Trainers are intended to supplement the demand on stamina when relying on melee. Our last area of card selection is the Preferential Cards. These are cards that are completely unrelated to the weapon and its strengths/weaknesses, but are still a useful perk. And this is where the most nuance can take place. Given that we have 2 slots left, I choose to give it to Grenade Pouch and Dash. Grenade Pouch grants an extra offensive throwable, and Dash increases move speed by 5%. Personally, I like to have more than 1 throwable, and because we're working with a close quarters weapon, enemies, especially mutations, will have an easier time getting close before elimination. Hence, I attempt to supplement with health boosts and have a backup to my throwables in the event of emergencies. Now, our last area of discussion is the character choice. Just like our deck build for the Uzi SMG, it primarily fits with Evangelo and Holly. Both characters are oriented towards stamina. Evangelo has the perk of increased speed, while Holly has a buff toward toughness. Both attributes can fit with the card selection, but as I said guys, there's 1,000 ways to build a weapon-centered deck. These were just my preferences. Otherwise though, that concludes the build. Thank you guys for joining me on this one, and in our next video, we'll be continuing with our amalgamated deck build and review. However, our next weapon will be the M16 Assault Rifle. It's been Londononion, and I will see you guys next time.